Okay, we're live now. So, hello everyone, good evening, and welcome to another webinar series of International Legal League. My name is Shivani, and I'm the founder of International Legal League. Let me introduce myself a bit. As you know, my name is Shivani. I'm from Manipal, from studying in Manipal University, Jaipur, fourth year of BLB honors, and I started this organization to help out law students all across the globe. So yes, now moving forward to our guest today, Sanchi, what would you like to introduce yourself a bit?
Sure. So, hi everyone. I'm Sanchi, and I am practicing as an advocate in the Delhi High Court and, of course, other courts in Delhi itself for around 3 years now. So, during the lockdown period, I had some extra time on my hands, and I began with my initiative called Mentorology, wherein we connect law students and young professionals who are new entrants in the profession with seasoned professionals, so that customized mentoring can be realized. So that's the idea behind the initiative, and we are running our seventh batch currently. So we have paired up 400 students with legal professionals, and their mentorship programs have gone really well. So I'm hoping to expand and reach 1,000 real soon. So, and I'm excited to be here with Shivani to talk about what is most important, for our listeners, maybe for your listeners who must be students or young professionals. Mentoring and networking is definitely important, and I'd say I kind of realized it during last year itself. So it's kind of fresh for me also to talk about it. But the amount of response we've got from the programs, I think it has only reinforced my belief into mentoring, and it also kind of made me regret why I did not reach out to more people when I was in law school. So yeah, that's about it.
That is amazing. I'm a student of your mentology itself, and I've been connecting with mentors, and it's amazing. It's an amazing experience, and it's amazing what you're doing right now. And it's really nice to get to know that you're connecting people with their mentors, and it's all personalized. You get to talk to so many people. You get to choose different fields that you can be a part of. This is wonderful. So, how would you like to begin with? Like, how do you choose the right mentor, and how do you reach out to people?
Well, I think it's you should not look for just one mentor, but multiple mentors. So one or more for each area you need help with, right? So each area you're interested in, and it should not just stick to I'd say your professional life or even your academic life, but it also should you should try and get mentors for each area of your life. Even someone who could help you with self development or your mental health, of course. It's always good to have someone to fall back on, and that go to person. So that's your mentor for different aspects of your life, of course. Then for one for your professional journey, one for your personal one, maybe you like to invest and you want to know the nitty-gritties of the market. So it's good to have someone who would help you out with that as well. So it could be a friend, it could be someone from some relative who'd help you invest better, right? So to in order to get your finances right early on itself. So that is another thing. Of course, in your career, you should look for multiple mentors, right? So since I am in let's say I'm in litigation, so I could have someone who works at a law firm, and I could have someone who is, let's say, a designated senior advocate. So I get insights into both of these aspects. So that is one thing, and it's always important that you look for someone who is into the same area that you are interested in. And also, as far as my experience has been, it's good to have a mix of seasoned professionals plus also people who are just a couple of years senior to you, right? So you get both kind of perspectives. You get get to hear stories from someone who has been into the profession for, let's say, 15 years, 10 years, and you also learn how someone 2 to 3 years elder to you has gone through the same kind of struggle. So it's more relatable in nature, because having a mentor is slightly different from having an ideal, right? So ideal. So it's not that you just have to look up and say that, oh my god, that person's reached somewhere, but we also need to relate to that person, right, in terms of the struggles that you've gone through, or a lot of other things. Location again plays a part, right? So where that person has been and where that person is situated at, because of course in the legal profession it is very different. Like it differs from state to state, sometimes even district to district, in states like UP, which is huge. So right, so someone who is from Lucknow might not have the same kind of experience who is from Kanpur or Allahabad. It's different, right? Delhi, of course, I can't say that, but Delhi is super super different from how it is in district courts in Mumbai or Bangalore. Although we're all metro cities, it's very different. So it's good to find people whom you can relate with, whom you can learn from, and don't apply filters from people you can learn from, right? So it's good to know from different people what their experiences have been, and kind of be picky about what you can learn from them. That's about finding a mentor for yourself.
That is wonderful to know. And yes, I completely agree with you that we should not be picky about choosing our mentors, because it's highly important that we gain knowledge from everybody. We can obviously understand different perspectives, and then apply our own minds to see how we want to go forward with it. So the next thing that I'd like to ask you is the power of networking, which is the second part of our webinar. So what do you say? The finding the mentor is the second step. The first step would be networking with the right mentors. How do you suggest one should go and network about, not just with mentors, but with anybody?
Well, I think if most of your audience is comprises of law students or lawyers, I think it's not for me to say how important networking is, but everyone by now knows how much it is. Because, and it's not just for getting jobs, or 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 sometimes people also feel that it's more important in a field like litigation but not in corporate or other fields. But I think that is wrong, because you never know who will help you in what way, and whom you can be help for, right? So it's like a two-way street. Networking or even mentoring is always going to be a two-way street. So you will always have to offer something and get something in return, even if it's networking, right? So that's what all is. Networking is about. You add some value to the other person's life, and in return you want them to add some value to you, into your life. And I think since the pandemic hit, we have all gone digital, and it has become a lot more easier now than it was earlier. Um, and I think LinkedIn is something which is so underutilized at the moment. If we all, like, I believe in law schools, they should be actually, we should have been introduced to this platform, and we should have been told how important it is to, be there, and not just exist, but also kind of be out there and start writing and posting and connecting with people. It's all about connections. We have seen, I think we all, a lot of us, if we are active on LinkedIn, we keep reading about how people got jobs or internship opportunities by just connecting with people on LinkedIn. Of course, it is not as easy as it seems. You can't just text someone, say, "Hi, I'm looking for an internship, please hire me," or "Hi, I'm looking for a job, please hire me." We see a lot of these people commenting on posts, typing interested and typing that, "I want this job" or something. It's not as easy as it seems. And of course, a connection, building connections is also not as easy unless you actually are interested and you're genuinely interested in the other person or in the field that the other person is involved with. It will be difficult for you. So you can't just say hi, hello, and that's not how you build connections, especially if, if we are talking about LinkedIn. Of course, that is good for Instagram or Facebook, but not sure. So unless you're genuinely interested and you share, I say, good amount of knowledge with the person you're trying to connect with, and you also, go through their profile and see what that person is interested in, what that person has been posting about, and how you can add value to that person, how you can connect with them, find those common grounds, find those common areas that you can speak about, talk about, discuss about. And now that we're like, life scrolling back to normal, you can always ask people out for coffee. And that's how things are abroad, of course, not in India as much as we'd like it to be. But that's how it is. Most of the mentoring is over coffee. And I'd really like, that to come up here as well, that you connect with people, and then just instead of just asking them for scheduling a call or something, you ask them out for coffee, and you sit with them, you talk to them for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I think that's enough to know or learn from someone's experiences. So yes, wishful thinking, but I hope one day we're able to do it as often as I hope we can.
I agree with you. The times are changing now, and I hope this generation actually goes and reaches out to people, over coffee, be it virtual coffee or in real life coffee, if, of course, the conditions are good. And of course, I completely agree with the point that you put out in front. That was, this should, the connection, networking on LinkedIn, it should be taught to us in law school itself, because I got to know about it like pretty late in my, I'm almost like, next year it'll be my final year, and I just got to know about it like last year, and which was also because it was the pandemic and I had to look for internships, and somebody suggested me, like, come on LinkedIn and talk to people and connect with people, and that is exactly how we all created this organization, mentoring and international league mentorology. So yes, I agree with you on this point as well. And the next question of mine would be, how would you define, how do you determine that, okay, what if a person has so many different fields in their mind and they're not really sure of choosing one path in law, because we all go through that stage. Like, we want to do something when we are younger, and then, as we progress in the law school years, we just suddenly shift to another field. So how would you decide, like, if they chose a mentor who's been helping them since first year, and then they later realize that it's not the mentor that they'd like to be under? How do they determine the transition? What do they do? How do they reach out to them, and more networking skills?
Like I said, it's not about having one mentor, but about multiple mentors. And I think that's what is important, because you get multiple perspectives from it, right? You get to learn from different experiences. And as far as going into that one field or choosing that one field is concerned, I think that will only come from your own experience, right? So for that, it's important that you put yourself through those experiences and you gain them yourself, rather than relying on someone else's, right? So they, having a mentor or someone to reach out to will only help you to, I think, straighten out your thoughts, right? But as far as choosing is concerned, it's on you, how you go about it. So it's important, like, apart from that, you should also start working, or like, as we do in internships. So it's imperative that you don't treat internships as something that you're doing during your holidays, but you also treat them in such a manner that once you're over with them, you know whether or not you want to pursue that field further on, right? So if it's a horrible experience for you, congratulations, you know that that's not for you, right? So you know you're not meant for it. So that again is a great experience I'd call, because unless and until you know what is not comforting, what is not in your comfort zone, it's great because you know how to eliminate those extra choices. Because to be honest, we're spoiled with choices these days, and it's not just for you as students, but of course as for us as professionals, it's the same thing. We too kind of get distracted at times when we think that is a lucrative option, and this is something which is an emerging area of practice. And why don't we get into that, or why don't we learn something new? So learning is always an ongoing process. You can learn multiple things, right? But at the same time, you know what it is, what's meant for you and what's not, and that will only come when you go out there and gain those experiences yourself. A mentor can just tell you how his or her experience has been like, right? But when it comes to you choosing for yourself, you need to do it yourself as well. So if you're interested in something, you like to, let's say intellectual property excites you, you like to read about it, you like to write about it, so get into it, right? So try and intern with IPR firms, and who are known for it, and try and get a first hand experience and learn how they work, and how they build their way through it. Of course, a mentor will tell you how it is done, but what is to be done is going to come from you. So if you're interested in tech law, you need to find yourself some work into it, you need to write about it, you need to read about it. And when you work is when you'll actually learn for yourself whether you're interested or you're not. I know a lot of people who were interested in corporate, but when they got to it, they realized that it was not for them. They couldn't, they can't take a desk job, like for them, I'm saying. A lot of people enjoy it, of course, and it's to each her own. I can't comment on that, but that's how it is. Things might excite you or interest you when you read them, but it might, when it gets to the practicalities, it might not. For some people, running around the court is cumbersome, right? It's not exciting, but for someone like me, it is. So it's different. You might enjoy a lot of things, but when it comes to applying them, when it comes to running around, when it comes to working on it, it might not be your cup of tea. And unfortunately, a mentor will not be able to tell you that, right? So it's on you. You go through the process and you decide for yourself. They'll of course help you figure out a way. They'll help you narrow down the choices as per your personality, or if they know you better, or according to different parameters, but they can't choose for you. So, as students, how much ever this might be a huge task to choose, and there are a lot of opportunity costs involved. We always think that if we choose one, we lose out on the other. And what if we would have made it big as a litigator, and now we're into corporate, we don't know what to do. But it's again, we are to bear the consequences and no one else.
Absolutely, absolutely, 100%. I agree with you. The mentor can only show you the path, but how to walk on that path is what the mentor can show you. But actually, walking on that path is something that you have to do it on your own. I completely agree with you. Now, another thing is related to networking, which would be how do you send out messages like LinkedIn messages? I've seen a lot of people posting out messages. Even when people reach out to me, they come up with this message, "Hi, can you tell me about this?" And it's an instant, like, no, no, this is not what we're going to do. So how do you advise students to reach out to people, mentors, potential mentors, or people in their field? How do you advise them to reach out to them on LinkedIn or any social media platform for that instance?
See, I think to begin with, you need to kind of know whom you're talking to, right? So each message that you send out has to be customized, and has to be only for that particular person and not for anyone else, right? So refrain from copying and pasting the same message and sending it to multiple people and hoping to get a reply. Of course, some might give you a reply, but some may not. Some may just outrightly ignore it. And that is one reason where and I mean, I think that is where the importance of knowing whom you're talking to comes in place, right? So you need to go through their profile, their work that they're doing. If it's someone senior, you could also search for the articles that they've written if they've not shared it on LinkedIn, because a lot of people are not really active, even if in their senior positions. And LinkedIn, something that you want to use to reach out to them, it's good to have to know about their background and use it in your favor, right? So when you're connecting with them, if you've written something which which will interest them, or is related to their field, why not use some of it to talk to them about, right? So you can always say, hi, so and so, and I've read your article, or I've read your post, and I have been working on something which is related to this, and this is what I think about this recent amendment that has come in, or recent law that has come in, or a recent judgment that has come in, and this is my view. What do you think about it? Just to get it started, right? So you can't send the first message and say, please give me a job. So you need to get it started, you need to build it. Of course, I mean, even in their minds, they'll know that you want something from them. It's not that they don't understand why you're talking to them, or why you're conversing or beginning that conversation. But of course, it's good to have their attention, right? So comment on their posts, try and engage with them in any way possible. um, Find common grounds. That's why I said, I said earlier, it's important to have something in common at least. And if you don't, then find those contradictions and then try to find something common out of it, and say that, this is my viewpoint, and I don't offend them. Of course, if you're trying to build a connection, you can't outrightly offend them. You can have a discussion, because of course, you will be trying to connect with seniors, and you can't offend them in the first go itself. So it's better to have a discussion, and that's how you begin having a conversation. And later on, you can always tell them that, I'm also looking for opportunities in this area, and if you happen to find any, do let me know, I'll be interested. Similar things. So straight away going into that job internship thing is a great no from my side. Some might benefit from it, but it's always good to build a connection and talk to them, so that they know who you are at least, right? So if you engage on their posts, if you write post comments, or if you engage with them in discussions, they'll know, and then you send them a message, they'll remember you from that time, right? So they'll know that, this was some person who had written a nice or a valuable comment on my post, and we had a good discussion in the comments, and now this person sending me a message, so I know him from before, him or her. So that is again a good strategy, of course, and you get to learn a lot. When you send these messages, you can always ask them for their experiences, right? So people love to talk about themselves, so why not take advantage of it? So and in by advantage, I mean that you get to learn so much from their experiences, because they have gone through so much, good or bad, and they will always have something or the other to tell you, whether it's a mistake that they made, or whether you know it was a great courtroom exchange that they witnessed. They'll always love to talk about it, and they'll always love to have an audience, right? So be that audience, engage in conversations, and that's how you network. Yeah.
Excellent point out there. Yes, this is one of the strategies that I've seen a lot of people do, and they're actually very successful in this. Providing valuable comment is something very essential when you're commenting on their post, because you cannot just go out and write, "Yeah, this was a good post." Like, how was it good for you? Is what
Yeah.
how you present it, right?
That's how you
And
stand out, and I think gaining those opportunities is all about standing out. There were hundreds of people, hundreds of students going into law school, like thousands going into law school, and hundreds of them applying at the same time. So how do you stand out? So when it was virtual internships, a lot of these law firms had a lot of interns at one point of time, which is practically impossible when it's physical. But so you need to stand out, right? So if you add valuable comments, if you well informed comments, if you write, put them in, even if it's not agreeing with what the other person is saying, you do stand out. Of course, you don't have to offend the other person, but it's important that you show them what you're capable of.
absolutely agree with you right here. What other tips would you recommend in mentoring and networking? I have seen, like, personal experience of mine was that I've seen people who have to pay for mentoring, and that's why they don't actually go into mentoring. And yours is absolutely free, that people network with each other and reach out, and how you provide mentors. How would you state about that? Why do you think it's very essential to have a mentor or network with people?
See, like I said, that I kind of regret that I did not have anyone to turn to during my law school. So I sometimes feel that I missed out on a lot. So if I had someone back then, in my initial years of law school, I would have been in a better place. Not that I am not at the moment, but if you gain advice from someone who's been through it all, who's seen it all, even if it's a couple of years elder to you or more than that, because I had no one in my family, in my even in my extended family in this profession. So I honestly had no one to turn to. It was just my college faculty, which again would not have been able to give me the practical insights because they were into academia and academia, and I would not have learned a lot from them, which I would have had I reached out to someone, or had I had someone to go to for these questions that students come up to me for, right? And I remember that I had similar dilemmas, I had similar doubts when I was in law school, and I missed out on so many experiences. So I think that's how I began, and why I began mentorology, because solely like that's how it came to my mind that I had no one to turn to, and whereas people should have people to turn to. So why not begin a platform that helps people connect with these people, with seniors, with seasoned professionals. So I think it arose from there, and it arose from my experiences, which were not so good. And like you mentioned about choosing the right field, right? So they'll always show, I had no one to show me the path, right? So a mentor is someone who is going to show you that path. Of course you'll have to walk it yourself, but it's good to have someone to at least show it to you. So and it's not just in our profession, it's in almost all of the professions, right? So in some colleges or universities, the alumni network is so well knit that they learn a lot from them. And a lot of tier 2, tier 3 law schools in India do not have an alumni network. Some of them are so new that they don't have any alumni. So it becomes difficult for students in those colleges as well. So I always wanted to help those coming from tier 2 and tier 3 law schools, so that they had someone to look up to and they had someone to learn from. And I think that is coming back to the same point, that is why mentoring or having a mentor is important. And at the same time, it's good to help your juniors as well, right? So be a mentor to your juniors as well, even if you are you're still in law school, you're in your fourth or fifth year, you can very well help your first years. Tell them what you missed out on, or tell them what they should do or should not do. Rest is on them what they want to choose, but it's good to give back as well when you're in that position. So yeah, that's
This is wonderful. Yes, I completely agree. Yes, we should be able to give back when we're in that position. And it's always wonderful to help out. And that's how we also came up with International Legal League for everyone. So it's the right path. Like I relate to you on this that, even I have nobody in my background who would come from law school, who's been to law school. So it was a relatively very new experience for me as well to come out, reach out to people. It's harder that way, when and you could, if you cannot rely on somebody who could not show you the path. um are there any few points that you would like to raise up, or summarize the whole webinar that we had over here, or more points that you would like to put up for our audience here?
I think we've pretty much covered all of it. About mentoring, like I said, you need to find common grounds. I'd also like to add to it that you also need to find people who don't agree with your views, right? So that you can. It's good to have the other side of the viewpoint as well. So someone who's always going to agree with you is also not right for you. So it's good to, like, in that multiple mentors wala basket, you should have different kinds of people, and you should learn from different kinds of people, um, from the ones who agree with you, from the ones who are in the field that you're interested in, as well as who don't, right? So it's good that way. And I think it's okay to rely on someone. It's okay to reach out for help. A lot of students also hesitate in reaching out, in or thinking that, what if they say no, or what if they get offended, or what if they don't reply. If they don't reply, reach out to the next person, right? It's as simple as that. And I think you should be done hesitating now, because you need someone to help you out with, and you need to work for that as well, right? So you can't expect the first person to write back to you, like, the first person you're writing to should, I mean, I don't think it won't be always that they write back to you. So it's good to work on that as well. It's okay to reach out to different people. It's okay to be vulnerable in front of them. I think by starting mentorology, this is one thing that I've learned, that if you reach out to people with something good, they will definitely respond, and they will definitely be happy to help you. And this is coming from my experience. Since mentorology is a pro bono initiative, and I reached out to a lot of professionals in the beginning before starting, because I wanted to know how they thought it could, it would be, or how they thought that they'd want to join. And I was literally blown away by the response that I got. They were so excited to be on board, and that's when I realized that people are good, and we just keep thinking, or we just keep kind of imagining or assuming that, the other person or the senior that we're reaching out to might not talk to us, or might be arrogant, or might not have time to help us. But that's not actually true. Somehow the other, they will find time if they think that, you're genuinely interested in them or in their work, or you're interested in making your way into that particular field that they're from. They will definitely get back to you. They will try to help you. And I think that's all. So it's good to not hold yourself back. Be out there, start posting, start writing. Do not hold yourself back from writing or posting something on LinkedIn as well, thinking that there are people who are senior to me and who's going to read me or nobody's going to like it. You never know how things turn out for you. So don't think much about that. Don't think a lot before posting. Don't think a lot before reaching out to people. It'll all fall into place. And don't fear rejection even in reaching out to mentors. If out of three people one doesn't respond, it doesn't matter, right? So you will have, out of three, one will reply. So and that's a good enough ratio, right? So even if you get to speak to one person, it's you have some amount of time sorted before you find someone else. And if even with respect to the mentors, I often feel that people we connect in through mentorology sometimes lose that connection with their mentor. So it's good to have a consistent one, right? So even if your set of doubts or questions are over, keep in touch with that person, keep him updated, keep your mentor updated with your achievements, with your failures. Keep talking to them so that you maintain that relationship. Because building connections and even mentorship is all about how long the relationship can go, because you never know when they might need your help in return, and when you might need, because you are of course reaching out to them. But you never know, maybe uh, what if they come back to you for work, with some work? So won't that be great for you? So it's good to remain in touch and keep that relationship steady for long.
That is beautiful. Now we're putting it out for everyone to post their questions if they have any, and we'll just wait for a couple of minutes and see if people have questions. Else you can definitely reach out to Sanchi on LinkedIn with the same name, and you can let her know if you have any questions that you have to ask her personally, or you could reach out to us and we'll pass on your question if you're not comfortable sharing it. But the first step, as she said, is networking, and let go of your fears. You can ask anything anytime, and I'm pretty sure she'll be able to solve most of your questions, if not everything. So yeah,
If not, I'll be happy to connect them with someone who would.
absolutely, absolutely. So waiting for a couple of minutes there.
Sure. Should we conclude then?
Yes. So I do not have a question here, but I did receive a question over here stating that they'd like to ask in person later on. It's like a long question, so I'll send it to you. Um, and yes, so we will conclude over here. Thank you so much, Sanchi, for joining us, and thank you so much for spending your Saturday evening on a Sunday evening over here with me on a webinar. And oh, we have one more question here before we actually conclude.
Sure.
So, I can you see the question on the screen? If you can, do let me know.
What if you feel your mentor is not the right one for you? How to improve the relationship? Well, if your mentor is not the right one, then don't ask more questions. Find a new mentor. As simple as that. So because you should be comfortable in talking to them, discussing things with them, being vulnerable in front of them, and that's most important, right? So because you are at the receiving end of the advice that's coming from them, and if you think that that's not right somehow, or that's not helping you, find a new mentor and look for someone who has something in common. Look for that common ground, look for someone who's aligned with you, right, whose thinking is aligned with yours. Because like I said, it's good to have someone with contrary views as well. But you should be able to identify, and you should be able to filter it out, and see what's good for you, that you can apply to your life, or that you can absorb. But if it's something that you can't, then don't, right? So it's not that you need to do what your mentor is saying, even if it's not aligning with what your thought process is or your principles are. Find yourself a new mentor, maintain, like retain, not maintain, retain that relationship. But at the same time, look for other mentors whom you feel comfortable with talking. So because that's important. It's not like, most people don't feel comfortable with their teachers. So it's not a teacher that you should be scared of, or that you can't even say if you don't agree with. So it's good to have someone to you can have open conversations with, because that's when you're going to get good advice. If you're not honest with your mentor, you don't expect good response from them, or don't expect them to help you out, because you're not being honest with them. So I think it's all interrelated. So if you don't feel that the mentor is right, get find a new one. I hope I'm
This
able
is
to answer that question, however blunt I was trying to be. But I think that's it. There's no alternative to this.
another question that I've received is, what do you do when your mentor doesn't reply back to you? That is, after a certain period of time, like they've reached out to the mentor, connected with them, started telling them about the progress, invested a lot of time in the mentor. But what do you do if the mentor suddenly doesn't respond back to you, or just doesn't reply back to your messages, or doesn't, put in the same energy that they used to when you first started talking to them? What do you do then? Because you've already
I
invested a lot of time.
Yeah, so I think to begin with in that situation is kind of trying to figure out what is wrong and what went wrong, and maybe your the mentor might not have the same amount of time that they had to give earlier. That could be one of the reasons, or I think that, or maybe they have other commitments at that time. So I think it's good to clear things out at that very moment and then proceed as per their response. But if, since it's 14th of February, and I don't want to use the word ghosted, but if you are ghosted by your mentor, then again it's time to find a new one, because of course you can't help it. It's someone senior who is not responding. I don't think you can do much about it, unless if they're able to clear it out, if they're able to tell you that they don't have the same amount of time, or they could have any other reason to not continue helping you out. Again, find someone else, because I think that relationship is done. Shivani, I think you're on mute.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I agree with this. So with this, I guess there are no more questions. There's one long question that I will send it to you. That
No problem.
it's on a personal note. So and so with this, we conclude today's webinar. An actual conclusion now, unless anybody else has any questions to ask, of course. So thank you so much, Sanchi, once again for joining, and once again for spending a lovely evening with us. And in some time zones, of course, it's the morning, the afternoon, but in your time zone and my time zone, it's evening, late evening. So
Yeah.
Thank you once again for joining, and I would love to have you again once more sometime in future. So thank you, and I'll see you and talk to you very soon.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thank you.
Shivani. It was great. Yeah. Thank you.
Love you.
Bye bye.
See you. Bye bye. Have a nice evening.